皆さん、こんにちは。日本語教師の山口です。Welcome to Japanese Voice Lab, where we explore what makes Japanese sound like Japanese. English and Japanese run on different vocal engines. Today, we are looking at the first part of that engine, your vocal folds. By the end of this video, you'll understand why locked vocal folds can make your Japanese sound unnatural, and how unlocking them can help solve 5 pronunciation problems, including pitch accent. Let's begin. Maybe you've been working on your Japanese pronunciation, but somehow it still sounds like you're speaking Japanese with an English voice. You know something sounds different, but you don't know what. For a long time, I didn't know how to explain this either. I could give feedback on vowels, consonants, and pitch accent, but sometimes, even when none of these things sounded wrong, my students' Japanese still sounded foreign. Back then, the only feedback I could give was something like, your voice sounds great, maybe a little too great, too rich, too full. I used to think that this voice quality is something that's separate from everything else. But over time, I realized that I was wrong. Many pronunciation problems are connected to this voice quality. As long as your voice itself stays in English mode, everything built on top of it actually carries traces of English to some extent. Your consonants, your vowels, your resonance, and even your pitch accent. As a general tendency, as a general tendency, English uses firmer vocal fold engagement that creates a richer, denser, buzzier voice. It's almost as if the vocal folds are more locked. Japanese, on the other hand, generally uses lighter vocal fold engagement. Air flows more continuously, and the resulting voice tends to feel lighter and more flexible. So today we are going to look at how to unlock your vocal folds. When my students make this adjustment, something interesting happens. These problems that once seemed completely unrelated suddenly become easier to solve. They weren't struggling with 5 separate problems after all. Later in this video, I'll show you some simple exercises to start unlocking your vocal folds. If you'd like more exercises like this, consider subscribing and joining my mailing list for future lessons and practice materials. Conclusion first. Unlocking your vocal folds can help solve these 5 problems that prevent you from sounding natural in Japanese. They might sound like 5 different problems. They are not. Before we look at them, let's first see how vocal folds work for context. Your vocal folds are 2 bands that sit inside your voice box. When you breathe, they are open. If they are closed, the airflow passing between them makes them vibrate to create your voice. In general, English closes the vocal folds more firmly. That means more resistance, so you need more air pressure to pass through them. But Japanese generally closes them more lightly, so they can work with a softer airflow. Let me demonstrate the difference using my lips. Locked vocal folds feel like this. This buzzy sound is created through more relaxed, thicker lips. Unlocked vocal folds feel like this. It's less buzzy, and you hear the air being part of the sound. This sound is created through more tense, thinner lips. Try both on your own and see which one needs more breath and which one can work with a softer airflow. When the airflow is not strong enough, the sound stops. In comparison, This sound can work with softer airflow and lower air pressure. Japanese speakers have to move from B to A when they learn English pronunciation. They have to build more resistance with their vocal folds and more air pressure to move them. As an English speaker, you are trying to do the opposite. You are learning to become comfortable with less resistance and less air pressure. Why does this matter? Because unlocking your vocal folds can help solve these problems. If you're struggling with some of these problems, unlocking your vocal folds may make them much easier to fix. Number 1, consonants. Japanese consonants doesn't stop the flow of the vowels. They are more like brief interruptions in an ongoing stream of vowels. But if you're using an English voice and have higher resistance and higher air pressure, consonants tend to become too prominent and disrupt the flow of the vowel. Unlocking your vocal folds helps you to learn to work with a softer airflow, and as a result, softer consonants. I'll take a deeper look at this in episode 4. Number 2, vowels being too open. If your vocal folds are locked, that means that this area is very relaxed. This might sound counterintuitive, but remember the lip trills. To lock the lips, you had to relax them. To unlock the lips, you tensed them up. Your vocal folds work in a similar way. In Japanese, your tongue and facial muscles keep everything more lifted because Japanese vowels operate in a very compact vowel space. As a result, this area naturally stays a little lifted and engaged as well. These things tend to go together. So if this area is too relaxed, your vocal space is probably not compact enough. Your vowels are too open. I'll take a deeper look at this in episode 4 as well, but unlocking your vocal fold makes it easier to keep everything a little more lifted. Number 3, resonance too low. As we saw earlier, when the vocal folds are locked, they work like this. This fluttering, motorboat-like buzz of the vocal folds resonates around here. Japanese voice tends to resonate much higher. This less buzzy, more airy sound from the vocal folds resonates higher in the mouth. I will take a deeper look into this in episode 5, but to sum it up briefly, unlocking your vocal fold and getting rid of the buzz down here help your voice resonate higher. Number 4, your pitch accent being correct but unnatural. Many learners can produce the correct pitch pattern, but native speakers still feel something isn't quite Japanese. That's because your vocal energy stays the same throughout the word. In Japanese, vocal fold engagement, the resistance, tends to become lighter as you speak. Even in flat heiban words, the last mora often carries slightly less energy than the first. With a downstep, that change happens more suddenly. Unlocking your vocal folds makes this subtle energy management much easier to learn. We'll take a deeper look at this in episode 6 and beyond. Number 5, your voice sounds bigger than intended. Finally, your voice may simply sound bigger than intended. Japanese isn't necessarily quiet because Japanese people are shy. It's partly because the unlocked vocal folds require less air pressure to produce voice. In comparison, English tends to have a higher baseline vocal volume because you need a certain amount of air pressure to get the thicker vocal folds moving at all. In other words, the minimum energy required for producing an English voice is generally higher than in Japanese. Unlocking your vocal folds helps you lower your baseline vocal volume, giving you more flexibility to adjust your voice to different social situations. Now, here are some exercises to start unlocking your vocal folds. The first exercise is what I call a voice breath slide. You start from 100% breath and 0% voice, no resistance, and see if you can find a voice that can move between breath and voice, adjusting the ratio back and forth, like this. Sa. Start from whispering and add voice gradually. You can do the opposite too. Sa. Slowly slide between different amounts of breath and voice. More breath. Sa. More voice. Sa. Explore the entire range. I've noticed that many English speakers naturally use one of the two settings, fully voiced or no voice. Sa, sa. They often have trouble exploring everything in between. Here's an analogy to help you visualize it. Imagine a garden hose. Your vocal folds are like your fingers at the end of the hose. Your lungs generate the pressure. Your vocal folds decide how much resistance that pressure meets. Japanese voice has much more room for adjustment. The vocal folds are flexible like the fingers, changing how tight they pinch the hose. You have to find this adjustable voice. In comparison, the English voice is like a tight nozzle attached to the hose. It's either on or off. It's much less adjustable. You have to look for that middle area where your vocal folds can work with a softer airflow, but still produce the voice. If this feels difficult, try it with a much higher pitch. Higher pitches naturally make it more difficult to maintain firm vocal fold closure. Once you get the feel for it, you can try to bring it lower. You can try a pitch slide exercise. Sa, sa, ah. Once you feel that more air is passing through, you can come down while trying to keep the lighter engagement. Ah, ah. This exercise isn't about speaking Japanese yet. You're teaching your vocal folds that they can't let more air through the vowel. You're also teaching them that they don't have to work with the same amount of resistance all the time. They don't have to be locked. The second exercise is what I call half whisper exercise. Try speaking with about 50% breath and 50% voice. Not a whisper, not your normal voice, somewhere in between. I'm making a podcast to practice with, so check it out if you're interested. 会社は、買い物は、会話は。The goal isn't to sound breathy. The goal is to become comfortable with less resistance and a softer airflow. It probably feels very weird. It might feel like your voice has lost substance and strength. That's okay. This isn't your final Japanese voice, of course. Think of it like a tennis player doing plank exercises. They never hold a plank during a match. The exercise simply trains the body. This does the same thing for your voice. Right now, we're changing only one part of the vocal engine. If we stopped here, your Japanese would probably sound strange. That's expected. To arrive at a natural Japanese voice, we still have two more parts to tune, your oral space and your resonance. We'll work on those in the next episodes. For today, simply become familiar with the feeling of lighter vocal fold engagement. The goal isn't just a quieter voice. The goal is a voice with less resistance. Once your vocal folds become lighter, everything else in Japanese pronunciation becomes easier. When people think about Japanese pronunciation, they usually begin with vowels, consonants, or pitch accent. Those things absolutely matter. But I've come to believe that real progress begins much deeper. It begins with working on how your voice is produced. In the next episode, we'll move to the second part of the vocal engine, your oral space. I'll show you how English speakers naturally speak with a much larger oral space. If you'd like to keep following the series, subscribe and join my mailing list for updates and future practice resources. Let's review today's main idea. English speakers often carry more resistance in their vocal folds. Japanese everyday speech generally uses lighter engagement and can adjust that resistance much more freely. Unlocking your vocal folds doesn't make your voice weaker. It makes the voice more flexible. And once your voice becomes more flexible, everything else in Japanese pronunciation becomes easier to refine. Thanks for watching. If today's video changed the way you think about Japanese pronunciation, I'd love to continue the journey with you. Visit sayakoyamaguchi.com to join my mailing list, or add your name to the one-on-one waitlist if you'd like personal guidance. This has been Japanese Voice Lab. Until next time, keep developing your Japanese voice.